What the hell was that?
Poltergeist activity. A ghostly touch. Sounds loud enough to wake the dead.
What was that?
This video explores some of the best pieces of paranormal evidence from some of the most haunted places in the world. Join me to count down 10 times we captured paranormal activity on camera. Let's kick off this list with poltergeist activity that was actually picked up by our viewers in a recent video. Something chilling that we initially missed. This occurred within Victoria's Black Swan Inn, an extremely haunted place in Texas. This historic residence dates back to 1867, yet it was built over already blood-soaked land, right on top of the site of the Battle of Salado, fought between Texas and Mexico, which saw a great number of fatalities. Add to this numerous other deaths within the home and a possible portal turned psychomantium, and you have yourself a pretty active mix of paranormal activity. In fact, we had a few experiences of our own within the psychomantium that were definitely noteworthy. This is essentially a closet with 2 mirrors set in a way to create an infinity reflection, and positioned in a way so one can scry within them. Plenty to enter have claimed to have experiences seeing their own faces change, apparitions appear beside them, or even just strange sensations. We sat within the closet alone wearing noise-cancelling headphones while scrying, yet we also ran GhostTube Seer within the room. This basically creates AI-generated images based off of environmental readings, and what we captured during this time was very interesting to say the least. Firstly, while I scried within the room, I began to feel a little claustrophobic as though the small room was crowded with others. Feels like the room's really big, but like it's also very crowded. Like it's hard to breathe in here. Like there's just a lot of people around me. Then we received this image, which is quite chilling as it seemed to correspond with my own feelings. In addition to this, Seer also generated this image, which I think speaks for itself. Looking just like the closet and its door where I was sitting and reaching out from. Even after we swapped things up with Jared entering the closet, we received another image that was truly chilling, with this one looking as though a man is staring into 2 objects on a wall, perhaps scrying into 2 mirrors, just like within the psychomantium. Furthermore, the image of what appears to be a reflection is featureless and almost looks to be screaming, eerily on point to what Jared was seeing with his own eyes at this moment.
I swear I keep seeing the man's face has no features, but every now and then it looks like it's gone like this, like really shocked. This is so trippy.
Initially, I thought this could be a depiction of Jared looking into the mirrors as if the spirit was trying to show that they could see what we were doing. But after more thought, could it have been signifying someone else looking back? But to top off the evidence we captured from this night, we need to analyse the movements of a doll within another room. Here, Jared and I entered a bedroom said to be haunted by a little girl named Sophie, though some also believe that a woman named Emma also exists here. Here we rigged 3 separate cameras to watch us and began reaching out using GhostTube Vox. Yet, just as we were setting up, over to our side, just in frame is a chair filled with multiple dolls, and as we were sitting still, one of them clearly moves. This is something we had no idea had occurred in the moment and missed in the editing room, only to be made aware of by our awesome viewers. This doll moving on its own remains something I have absolutely no explanation for. We now move on to a very different piece of paranormal evidence that was captured on board the USS Hornet, a now disused but highly decorated ship from the United States Navy. The Hornet was commissioned in 1943 and by March of 1944 sailed out to Pearl Harbor ready to fight. The Hornet would be incredibly successful, managing to shoot down hundreds of enemy planes, a number of other ships, and more enemy sea vessels during its active combat years. Today, many claim the ship to be haunted, and an array of experiences have been had aboard, including visual sightings that range from light anomalies, shadow figures, as well as full-bodied apparitions that include sailors in their whites and captains in full uniforms. In addition to this, poltergeist and auditory type activity is also common. Many also feel physical touch and a presence seeming to help them in the medical bay, which is interestingly something that we experienced during an ST session, which was also validated with REM pod activity.
Oh my god. Are you enjoying touching that device? Oh, yep, there it goes again. What's going on?
There's a pressure on the left side of my, like here, and I don't...
That's been gone off the whole time.
There's a pressure on my, like, eye, and I don't... This is freaking me out. I don't like it. But for us, the most interesting capture of all was made on GhostTube SLS, which was paired with a couple of other strange moments too. This happened in the living quarters for crew who would have worked in the special weapons unit. It began with Jared feeling as though he had seen a dark shadow move within the room with him, behind some lockers. Interestingly, we set up a still night vision camera only to capture a strange shadow in the same area. This looked like definite movement, though wasn't something that was very distinct. We also had numerous cat balls which are triggered by movement activate within this space, though once we began to ask for interaction, we also captured a figure onto GhostTube SLS right in the area Jared had earlier sighted something. Adding to this, once we began to pack up to leave the room, we also documented another figure within the same space moving around. This was quite interesting but odd. Okay guys, so I've got to show you this. Did you see that person on the floor? This is picking up a body on the floor. Weird, huh? Oh my god, it is so freaking dark in here. I don't like it. And many of you who watched also commented on how it looked just like the figure was performing push-ups, an activity that no doubt would have occurred a lot on board this ship. Our next piece of evidence was, for me, personally really scary. It's always chilling to feel as though you were touched while investigating a male prison, though to have the experience backed up by other means is also pretty cool. This occurred at the Ohio State Reformatory, best known as being the filming location for the Shawshank Redemption, but boasting a pretty fierce true history behind it too. Construction began on this impressive stronghold back in 1886, though it would not see its first inmates until 1896. The Reformatory began its life as an intermediate prison, though with pressure on the swelling correctional system, overpopulation got the better of the Reformatory, and it was changed to become a maximum security facility, something it was never intended to be. This saw violent inmates introduced into poor conditions, and the result was not good, with disease, suicide, and murder all contributing to a vast death toll, and as a result, many hauntings. We did pick up on some strange moments during our night at the Ohio State Reformatory, and one of the most challenging was when we decided to split up and explore alone. I descended into the solitary confinement cells, which is one of the most active areas of the prison, only to hear voices of men with my own ears that were actually documented onto our camera's audio. No, there's a dude in here. I can hear it. What the f***? This is also this spot right here, or... People have died, like, right here, or very close. Jared, who was on the other side of the site exploring the cell block, also had a few moments of interest, picking up some REM pod activity.
So you're really good, you make one of the lights go up. If you go close, you can make them all light up, and then these cigarettes are yours. Ooh, there you go.
But also unexplainable sounds.
Is anyone down there?
However, for me, the most chilling part of the night occurred within what has been dubbed the chair room. This is a spot that has been surrounded by mystery. It is a simple room within the administration building, yet the only place in the entire complex that contains no windows, and its actual purpose remains unknown. It's curious as many investigators have experienced intense and negative activity within this room, especially by those who choose to sit in the room's only chair. This ranges from being touched and scratched to even feeling as though the chair is shaking beneath you. We did take the opportunity to sit in this chair and perform an ST session, which was actually quite interesting, but the moment that stood out to me was feeling as though my leg had been touched. Weirdly, moments before this occurred, one of our cameras began to map a square around my leg. This is basically the camera's inbuilt facial recognition technology saying, hey, I see a human face here.
Look, the camera's got a frame around her leg. When did you find out?
8:30.
It's detecting those frames only appear for a face. Oh my god.
I just felt something like brush on me.
Oh my god. That is... It's still there.
Are you in here?
Yeah.
You didn't touch me or something, did you?
No, but...
Should we keep going or I don't know? Ah!
That went up as well.
Because I was sensory deprived, being unable to see and hear this is all pretty weird to pair up with what I felt. Further to this, right after I came out of the Estes to share what I could feel, the REM pod behind me triggered, indicating that someone or something could be around. We now move over to England to feature perhaps the oldest and most historic place on this list, one that has terrified and fascinated me for many years, Chillingham Castle. This fortified manor house has sat on the border of England and Scotland for hundreds of years, having seen much bloodshed and battles between the two as a result. Additionally, having housed a man claimed to have been the worst and most sadistic torturer in all of England, John Sage. This is only amplified and added to the many ghost stories that have surrounded Chillingham Castle for years. It's often claimed this is the most haunted castle in England, and that's not something I doubt, but I'd also argue its grounds are equally scary and active. There's frequent sightings of monks in the surrounding woods, and plenty of people were hanged and left to rot around the property. The paranormal reports that come out of Chillingham are plentiful and varied to say the least. And we've had our own experiences here in the past that have seemed to indicate true intelligence. One that sticks out to me is receiving a response via GhostTube Vox in the castle's torture chamber that seemed to state, "The Maiden."
To take your skull. The maiden. The maiden. The maiden. The maiden.
When funnily enough we were standing just a few feet from an Iron Maiden, or our Estes performed within the dungeon, which to me got quite emotional. Although we received plenty of responses such as leave, it truly felt like there was someone stuck, and instead of angrily telling us to leave, they in fact wanted to leave and perhaps were simply unable. Help me.
What can I do to help?
Leave. We also received a name via a spirit box through a portal in the Great Hall that again signified true intelligence, reciting Britty, the nickname of one of our good friends, Brittany Crab here on YouTube, who had also visited the castle years before and who we had been referring to all night throughout our own investigation.
Would you like to come through and talk to us? Britty.
Oh, that said Britty.
Britty.
I just said Britty. Peter, is that you? Yeah.
Oh my god.
Britty. Britty. Britty.
This showed that the spirits of the castle may have had memory of Brittany and her visit, or that they were capable of listening to us during the night. Either way, it was really cool to hear Britty, as it is not a common name. But for us, one of the most intense moments was within King Edward's bedroom, which is said to harbour particularly negative energy. Earlier in the night, as we were walking through the castle, Jared felt as though someone had tugged on his hoodie here, right as we were exiting the room, only for us to realise he was walking away while wearing a crown that belonged in that very room.
Wait, come here, film me. I just felt a tug.
Probably because you've still got your hat on. You've still got the crown on.
Not on my hat, I felt a tug on my back of my jumper.
I know, but it's like reminding you need to take that off. Later, we would return to reach out, only to hear plenty of noises and capture REM pod activity. Down. Oh, hello? Thank you. What the heck? REM pod's gone off, there's noise behind us. What the heck? What the heck? Though it was the heavy movement emanating from the wooden balcony above us that truly chilled us to the bone. What? Who's that?
What was that? There's nothing above us, we're at the top.
That was like a chair moving and then footsteps.
There's a balcony here, but you can't get up there.
Who's that?
What was that?
Who was that?
What was that?
We still have no idea what could have caused this noise, but it is also extremely common for people to sight dark figures moving along that very balcony. Our next piece of evidence is one that still affects me to this day and is genuinely upsetting to even talk about. This occurred within Ararat Lunatic Asylum, located in Ararat, Australia. The history of this location is undeniably sad and potentially something I had picked up on. Ararat opened in the 1800s and treated patients right through until the 1990s. It was a psychiatric hospital that housed many people suffering from mental health issues, right through to those deemed criminally insane. Thousands of men, women and children would pass through Ararat's doors, and many would perish within the facility, or be forever changed by brutal treatments of the time. Over the years, many to visit have claimed to have paranormal experiences within Ararat, and a number of known spirits are said to reside within its many buildings. For me, as an investigator, I've certainly had some of my most compelling captures within this truly fascinating place. Our most recent visit allowed us to test GhostTube Seer along with GhostTube Lens for one of the first times ever. This basically allows one to digitally scry white noise in the sensory isolation of virtual reality, while images could be generated by AI based off of environmental readings. We found interest in this within the former electroshock therapy room, where we received 2 separate images, both of which displayed people's mouths with focus on their teeth.
I'm seeing really weird teeth again. Different though, this is like an older person's mouth with weird crooked teeth in it and weird lips.
To me, this at first seemed random, but after receiving the same type of images multiple times, it just showed us that this could be of importance and perhaps that it might be related to the electroshock treatment which occurred in this space, something that could be disastrous to a person's teeth unless properly conducted with protective mouthpieces. But it was the start of our investigation that truly stuck with me. Within the first 10 minutes of starting our work within the former matron's quarters, I experienced technical difficulties with one of my cameras malfunctioning. Camera just reset for the second time. Something's wrong. Something's wrong. Shortly after this, we began rolling and I was immediately overcome with a strong sense of sadness to the point I couldn't help but cry. Okay, deep breath. I visited here 3 years ago, had experiences here, so it's a place I really wanted to come back. I've already had a meltdown. So I'm just gonna...
Are you okay? It's okay.
I don't know why I'm emotional. We just walked into this building. I feel very frazzled. I'm gonna try and keep this together for you guys. I have had a camera just stop working, like twice it's had these weird errors and now it's just not working. I do have 2 cameras rolling now. It's my 3rd camera and my a brand new camera. That's just not working. I'm not sure why. I don't know what's wrong with it. I don't know what's wrong with me, but we're in the matron's quarters and I truly felt like someone was nearby and I was feeling what they had felt. It wasn't until later, when we had the opportunity to interview our guide, that this began to make more sense to me, and I was once again emotionally affected by what I had just learned.
The people that lived here, particularly in some areas in this asylum, some of the things that they would have experienced here would have elicited extreme emotional pain and suffering or fear or sadness. Some areas bring you to tears, some areas bring you that horrible, fearful sensation, and others just feel really light and comfortable and uplifting.
I think Amy got the worst of that tonight.
I got the sad.
Oh, where did you get it?
Like, just as we started, like, we went into the matrons.
Yeah.
My camera messed up like 3 times and I'm like, I don't know if it's broken or it's just like something's messed with it. Like, it's my brand new camera. And then I'm like crying and then I'm like...
That'd be the space for it though. Matron is, we've actually got 3. We've got 3 matrons. I think they were very sad with the work they did here, and we do know at least one of our matrons did suicide.
Yeah, that hits me.
Yeah.
Ooh. Might cry again.
You alright?
Yeah, you alright?
Now we move on to another location that is often claimed to be the Alcatraz of Ireland, though in my opinion has far more reason to be haunted: Spike Island. Standing just off the coast of Cork, this island began its life as a monastic settlement. By today, it's dominated by the massive Fort Mitchell built in the 1770s. During times of war, this impressive fort was of great importance to the British Empire, although throughout its existence, the island would also be used as a prison, with many of its structures converted to hold inmates. Overcrowding, disease and death would plague the island, and mass graves are still said to remain. But with so much dark history soaked into the land and its buildings, Spike Island is undoubtedly haunted. Our night on the island was a very interesting one, and we had the chance to investigate multiple areas, including a burned out cell block and former barracks where an exorcism was performed, and even underground solitary cells. But one area, known simply as the abandoned jail, was of most interest to us. This cell block is notorious for visual sightings, with some even capturing figures in photographs in the past. But for us, as soon as we began to explore the site, there was an energy about it. One thing that genuinely creeped me out was these marks that appeared onto the back of Jared's neck after spending some time in this particular prison. These looked just like 3 fingers, and we were never able to debunk these as being Jared unconsciously scratching himself, or as being paranormal either. I don't know if that's paranormal. Do you remember touching yourself? You probably wouldn't, right?
No.
That is really weird looking.
I've got cold chills now.
Honestly, that is really weird looking. However, I would later return to this area and sleep there alone, while Jared slept alone in another area of the island. This is when I heard something truly scary.
I just heard a voice. Holy shit. Oh. What the fuck? Holy shit. Holy shit. You guys, what the... I feel like it came from down here.
I could not establish what had caused this noise. All I know is it was loud, and I was completely alone in the prison. Well, I was at least alone when it came to the living. A top evidence list wouldn't be complete without a mention of Waverley Hill Sanatorium, claimed by many to be one of the most haunted places in the world, and one that will always stick out to us as being particularly active. During our first visit to Waverley, we documented what is, in my opinion, some of our best evidence ever. So of course, we returned for another night, which is coming up soon on my channel, so make sure to hit subscribe and turn on all notifications so you don't miss out. It is the history and the sheer amount of death that resulted in Waverley's paranormal notoriety. Originally opened in 1910, a number of hospitals were built on this site, before the massive and iconic batwing-shaped hospital opened in 1926, standing at the very forefront of America's fight against the deadly disease tuberculosis. Sadly, with little knowledge on how best to treat this illness, many passed away within Waverley's walls, and in an attempt to discreetly remove bodies of the deceased to keep other patients' morale intact, a former construction tunnel was utilised to remove the dead, earning it a new name, the Body Chute. It was here and the hospital's former morgue that we captured some of our most chilling encounters. Whilst in the former morgue, we decided to conduct an SD session with Jared laying within the original body trays and with me being sensory deprived outside. During this time, Jared began asking the spirits to touch me.
Can you touch that woman sitting out there?
Something I was unable to hear when I actually felt something touch me on the shoulder.
What? What the hell was that? What?
Like someone just like touched me.
Are you for real?
Yeah, like right here. This startled me so badly, I jumped just a little out of my chair. It was obvious to me that there was something in the corner of this room, and a REM pod was able to confirm this feeling, which was pretty amazing. Okay, thank you. Literally, as soon as I turn it on, it's going off. Can you step away from that for a second? Thank you. Oh my God.
Cat balls.
Thank you. This is right where someone touched me. Like, I'm shook. But it was what Jared captured alone while in the body shoot that really topped off our time at Waverly Hills. Here, we decided to split up, with myself heading up to the 4th floor and Jared spending time alone in the body shoot. He remained down in this area for some time before documenting loud footsteps approaching him. This startled him, so he called out, only for the footsteps to seemingly pause and then head back the other way.
Is there someone up here? Who's that? Who's that?
These are pretty amazing, as you can not only hear the sound of feet hitting the ground, yet also clothing rubbing together.
Who's that? They're probably the loudest, clearest footsteps I've ever captured on camera. Amy?
It's also worth noting that there is only one way in and out of the body chute, which was the direction that the footsteps were coming from. However, to get into this space, one needs to open a very big, heavy, and extremely noisy door. We're still unsure of what caused these footsteps, but we know that it was no living person. I'm also hesitant to suggest that they were residual, as whatever caused them did seem to respond to Jared calling out, which always leaves me wondering, what would have walked around the corner if he remained silent? Our next piece of evidence is perhaps my favourite on this list because it's truly compelling and unique. This occurred at Goldfield Ghost Town in Phoenix, Arizona. Sitting at the base of the Superstition Mountains, a place said to hold great energy, a curse, and where many have perished, provides the perfect setting for this abandoned gold mining town turned tourist attraction by day. It is claimed that anyone who perishes within the shadow of this mountain range will remain cursed to walk the land forever. Just one of the reasons so many believe that Goldfield is very haunted. During our time here, we investigated 2 areas of interest, the former mine and a bordello. While the mine was incredibly active with plenty of EMF and strange happenings, what occurred for us in the bordello was intense. Here, in the former brothel, some have been attacked while others have had rather intelligent conversations with those who have passed over, though there's always that lingering feeling of something very dark and malevolent within. We were lucky enough to investigate this area with Matt from Fear Frontier, who works running ghost tours within Goldfield and who has experienced a lot at the bordello himself. Additionally, we had a massive electrical storm blow through while investigating, which we all believe contributed to the amount of activity we experienced, but also ties in some of the beliefs around the Superstition Mountain being connected to a god of thunder. During our time within this building, we asked for the spirits to communicate with us via GhostTube Seer, and we received a number of images that were particularly on point and scary. One of these formed right after Matt asked for the dark entity that had attacked one of his friends named Bethany in the past to show itself. Further to this, we heard noises, documented EMF activity, and had the electronics activate from the store that the building functions as during the day, from one corner of the room. Maybe you can join us at this table. If you can, maybe you can show us what you look like.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Or not a voice, pardon me, a sound over there, not a voice.
Yeah.
But
That camera?
That
just shut
camera,
off?
what the f***?
Did it just shut off?
Yeah, it's dead, it's off.
Oh, what was that?
the other REM pod perhaps, or?
No, I've never heard that noise
I've never
before.
heard that noise before. I don't know what that was.
I have no idea what that was.
I don't know what that noise was. That's not our device. That's not our device.
That's a cash register.
Why is the register operating?
I gotta film this.
We then received an image of a figure that corresponded to where that activity was emanating from. Finally, we had another image form of a ship, which at first glance seemed random, yet we would find it looked just like an image hanging on the wall of this very room. However, it was what we captured right after entering this space that interested me the most. Here, right as we were setting up, Jared entered the main bedroom and set up a still GhostTube SLS camera, then walked out to where Matt and myself were talking. Right after doing this, we heard a noise come from within that room that sounded as though an object had been moved.
What was that? I don't know what that was. Let me check. I'm recording in there.
Jared then speculated it could have been a piece of jewellery he had noticed on the bench next to where the camera had been set up.
I have a suspicion it's a piece of jewellery that I noticed myself when I was setting up the SLS camera. Here. It was this. That's the noise that we all heard.
It wasn't until I later reviewed the footage that it became evident that this wasn't just a noise in the room. The entire camera shook, as if someone had angrily slammed their fist onto the counter. Additionally, as this occurred, a figure was mapped by GhostTube SLS in the mirror on the opposite side of the room. With all of this combined and no apparent explanation, I find this capture extremely compelling. Do you think someone might have been angry we were there? We're now down to number 2 on this list, and that brings us back to one of our recent investigations, Crescent Sanatorium and Prison. This is something that we picked up on, which I haven't been able to shake from my mind and still speculate about. Crescent is a special place as far as history and the paranormal is concerned. Many of the structures that make up its sprawling campus were used to combat tuberculosis and saw much pain and suffering in their own right. Yet, then there are multiple prisons on site that were used up until recent years. This has created a rather interesting mix of energy and the perfect breeding ground for paranormal events to occur. We personally had so many compelling moments at Crescent, from hearing objects being thrown at us more than once.
Oh, magnetic spike straight off the bat.
I think it's this door, to be honest. What the
Here.
heck? Like a stone followed us in.
Like rolled in.
Yeah. Oh, you mean like, is that where the basketball court is down
Yeah,
this
that's
one?
basketball court. Hang on a sec. Right.
No.
What the f*** is that?
To really loud and spooky noises.
Is there someone up here with me right now? Can you tap once for yes, twice for no? Oh my god.
Okay, I can hear you down there.
But it was what we picked up while using GhostTube Lens and GhostTube Seer within the former church that really shook us up. Here, many people claim to have sighted a dark entity with long claws that crawls out and can travel across the ceiling. This is something we had reached out to and wanted to interact with or find out more information about. During our session, we had some pretty cool moments, like feeling as though there was a presence nearby in a particular area, which was backed up by a REM pod triggering.
I don't know, I'm just going to tell you, can you pay attention to this side? Because I'm just watching noise, guys. I'm tripping out a little bit, but it just feels like all the noise is drawn, but it's flowing this way, this direction.
If there is something here, can you take a seat in the front row next to this lady, please? That's the REM pod just went off.
But it was a single image that we received that really solidified for us that there was something weird going on in this space.
I'm holding something here for you. How does it make you feel? Show yourself. You seeing something?
Yep.
What are you seeing?
It's an entity, alright. It's a dark creature. It actually might have claws, I'm not even you.
During this session, we received this. To me, it appears to be some kind of inhuman entity, dark, displaying large claws, and even looks as though it is perched up in the corner of a room. While I cannot say exactly what it means, it really does seem to correspond to some of the reports coming out of the church and gave us a really good scare. Our final piece of evidence is from an episode that has yet to air on my channel and was captured at the Missouri State Penitentiary. This was a place so notorious it became known as the bloodiest 47 acres of America. It is well known for its execution chamber where lethal gas was used as capital punishment, though many other deaths occurred on the property along with horrific abuse and plenty of bloodshed. I'm not going to give away too much about what happened in this episode, as you'll need to subscribe and turn on all notifications while you wait for it, but here's a taste of just one of our experiments. Here I left Jared alone in the complete darkness of a solitary confinement cell where many men were kept for so long that they went blind. During this time he wore GhostTube Lens while viewing GhostTube Seer. Additionally, he wore noise amplifying headphones to listen to absolutely everything in this space. To say this is unnerving is an understatement, and this is the first image that he received through the headset, which is eerily on point to where he was. Could this have been a former prisoner rotting away in an isolation cell? There's plenty more to come on AmysCrypt, including a full episode from the Missouri State Penitentiary, but remember, you can watch any of the other full episodes from the locations featured in this video on my YouTube channel now. I do hope that you enjoyed this recap of some of our best pieces of paranormal evidence, so if you did, please remember to like, comment, share and subscribe, as that really helps us out. Maybe even let us know your fave moments, or if you can think of any others that are noteworthy and that should have made this list. If you want to see more upcoming investigations, definitely make sure you're subscribed, because we have the craziest videos lined up. You can also follow us on social media at AmysCrypt, and we post bonus and behind the scenes content on my YouTube members and Patreon linked below. But thank you so much for watching, Crypt Keepers. Until next time.